Howdy YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Gunman. So this video here is the third and final part on the full respray on this Mazdz CX-3 in Soul Red Crystal 46V. So the previous videos we went through the prep work, we painted the bonnet, we did the masking as well, and now we're up to paint work. So yeah, we're going to be starting off with some wet on wet primer. And yeah, obviously I gave it a good tack rag down, blew it off with the high pressure airline. Now we're getting that wet on wet primer down. So G6 is the shade, if you're wondering. There was actually one point when I was making my own little shade, which is sort of like halfway between G6 and G5, but I've just ended up landing on G6 these days. I find it just easier, and yeah, it seems to be working just fine for me now. However, I did find a little imperfection in that primer, so one thing I do like to do is put a fast thinner into the primers, and when I'm spraying the primer down, I'll be spraying it at 22 to 23 degrees depending on the temperature of the day. Like if it's more summer and it's already above say 20 degrees, I'll just flick the burner off and just spray the wet on wet primer without any heat. But if it's most of the year when it's cold here in Melbourne, I'll just set it to 22 23 degrees. But then once I get the primer down, the wet on wet primer down, I'll boost the booth up to 25 degrees. If I do need to bake it, sometimes I'll give it a 5-minute bake. That can help. But yeah, so all this was here was like a little bit of a fisheye or a bit of silicone. So as you can see there, I'm only hitting it with a ultra fine sanding pad there, so it's like 1500. Because your base coat's going straight over it, if you hit it with something too coarse, you can end up still seeing those sanding scratches. Mainly because the primer is still somewhat fresh, like because we've just sprayed it down. I might have only left it say 10-15 minutes. So the fresher primers are obviously going to take those sanding scratches a little bit deeper. If the primer had been baked out completely and you were sanding it, you only really need to sand the primer down with say 800 grit, and that's fine to put your base coat color over the top of. But yeah, just do take a minute before you go and put your color over, or just keep an eye out when you're spraying as well. Make sure you don't have any sort of bits of fluff or big bits of hair or something in that wet on wet primer, because yeah, that's a good opportunity to, before you put your base coat down, find any more imperfections. Like sometimes I'll even find a stone chip. Like that's what we're here to do. We're here to fix all the stone chips in these cars, so we can't be missing any. It's really important to get them all. The quality expectations of these jobs is very high, and yeah, we've only been improving our quality as we go on. I actually look back to when I first started doing these Soul Red Crystal resprays to now, and look, I'm a little bit embarrassed to be completely honest, but if you go back to say 3 or 4 years ago and watch the quality of the work that I was doing then to the quality now, it's massive improvements. So I'm kind of proud of the improvements, and I didn't give up, because many people did actually. I know of a few shops that they were doing these, and they just said, look, we've had enough of it. It takes our painters off these other paying jobs, because you might lose a painter depending on the shop. I can smash one of these out with a prepper. I can do 2.5 in a week depending on the size of them. Like CX-9 probably 2 in a week. But yeah, like depending on the painter, they might take 4-5 days, like a whole week if they're doing it by themselves. In a standard shop. So yeah, the fact that we can just pump them out and do such high quality work is a testament to my belligerent nature, and I'm not giving. I won't let something like this beat me. I didn't let it beat me, and it's paid off in the end. I'm really happy with the quality finishes that we're able to get. But there you go. So the base coat I put down was Enviro base, but added the one visit modifier. So that's a game changer, I swear, man. That and the new clear coats that PPG have released around probably about a year ago now, but total game changers. Like it really changes the system, and like many that have been following me think that I hate PPG, and the truth is I don't hate anything. I just wanted better out of it. So I've just about overcome every single issue that I had with PPG. I don't even dislike it anymore. There's not even much that I dislike about PPG. I've got no issues at all with it. I'm enjoying spraying it. Funnily enough, like I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, if my boss came in and said you can swap back to standox, I'd be like, no, I'm pretty cool. Like I'm pretty cool chilling on the PPG at the moment. I've got it nailed. Happy with the finishes that I'm getting. There's not much else that I want out of it. So there you go. I'm definitely not a PPG hater. It was all objective truth, and it was not my truth. It was the truth, right? I did have some issues with it, and I stand by everything I've said in the past about PPG because it was true and relevant at the time. But either way, once we've got that one visit down, nice and silky smooth, we'll give that about 10 minutes. So I'll go out, clean out the base coat gun, clean the bench up, and mix up my clear coat. So the clear coat is the DC527, which is a sprint clear, and I'll put some fast thinner into that just to help it dry, because this is not the final stage, this is just the candy stage. Another thing that you may have noticed is that I warmed that clear coat up so to 30 degrees. And yeah, another important step. So previously, those who have been watching the channel for a while may remember that I did somewhat of an ultimate guide on spraying Sol Red Crystal. And back then, that was say a year or so ago, I was doubling the thinners during winter. And that was mainly so that I was going to get consistent results, because I did not have a microwave. But having a microwave, another game changer. I can temperature control to the degree the clear coat, because most people will understand that if you have warmer clear or colder clear, then the viscosity will change. So obviously the amount of thinners that you put in will change. So I just found that it was easier to control the viscosity with thinners rather than temperature, which could be up and down. If you were trying to, previously I was thinking, oh, maybe I could say put the can of clear in the booth, but then it's going to be up and down, and you might have one warm batch and one slightly colder batch, and then you would get inconsistent results. Hopefully that makes sense, but I would imagine it's pretty straightforward to get your head around what I just said. But of course, consistency is extremely important when you're talking candies, and especially the way that we do them. We obviously paint with the doors off the car. Now there's some big advantages to that, and there's a few things. I wouldn't say they're disadvantages, I would just say they're more things to be conscious of, right? Getting the color right, you know, getting the settings exactly the same from panel to panel. So one of the main things you've got to do is, of course, paint the doors at exactly the same time as the quarter panels and the guards. Now, you can obviously get away with your bumpers, bonnet and tailgate, spraying them at a different time, just mainly because of the angle that they sit on. But look, the absolute truth is sometimes you'll get like a black speck, and they have like a tolerance of 1 per panel below the line, but if it's above the line, it's 1 per side. So we've got pretty strict guidelines on the quality standards on these jobs, and we do follow them. But sometimes you just get a bit of a black bit of dust land in your paint or two, and it's above the tolerance, and you do have to redo a panel, right? And if you do have to do that, you don't want to have to go and paint the whole side again. So I've tried a few different methods, and I'm at the point now where I can edge match a door. I could, let's just say if there were 2 black nibs in the top of this door and I had to redo it, I can actually edge match it at a later date. That's how much of a fine art I've got this procedure down to. I've done it before, and you can put it on and you wouldn't even know the difference in the color. So yeah, it's pretty cool to be at that stage. This is definitely the color that will test many painters. But once we've got that candy down, of course, put 2 coats down, gave it a bake for 10 minutes. And as I've mentioned in the past, 10 minutes is what works for me in my booth with my clear coat, exactly the way I mix it up. But that is again something that you have to do a little bit of trial and error with. You've got to push these things to the limits, and I've found even 9 minutes is not enough. If I go less than 10 minutes, it'll like pickle up. I've had that. It's like this really strange, like a reaction where the solvents are sort of still trying to release out of the candy stage, and then when you go and put your gloss clear on, it will just start pickling up. And if you go too far, I'm always a little bit concerned about over baking it and passing your recoat window where you'll no longer get adhesion. So I find 10 minutes for me is perfect. I have done 15 minutes before, and you can do it. That would be on the upper limit, but I just find 10 minutes is a sweet spot. So of course what we're doing here is unmasking these door jambs. So we did do a masking video, the previous one, and what I've done in those door jambs, I've done like a triple mask. So I had 2 strips of the smooth transition tape. I pulled one of the strips off after I got my color down, you may have noticed that, and then put the candy over the color and the wet on wet edge. So yeah, we've got nice smooth soft edges and they look amazing. And of course we're going to be clear coating over the entire door jamb so that we're not going to have any rough edges in there at all. So somewhat of a game changer doing that. I've said the story in the past before, but that was one of my calls because they were getting, I thought, a little bit too fussy. I'm like, man, there's only so much you can do. Short of painting the door jambs, there's only so much you can do. I'm like, do you really want to go that far? And then I cracked the shits one day, cracked the poo-poos, because I thought they were just being a little bit unrealistic about the, you know, the edges. I'm like, man, they're edges, right? And I'm like, I'm going home. I just walked out. And I come in the next day, I had to think about it, and I'm like, man, we've got to paint the door jambs. And the boss is like, done. No worries. Like that's it, like that tells you a lot about the way my boss thinks. He's not a tight ass. He's like, just the quality of the job has got to be done right. You know, just do it right. We pride ourselves on quality at this shop, and it's a pleasure to work at a shop where you get all the right materials to do the job properly. And yeah, you're just able to put like a good system in place, and it gets to the point where these resprays, like, they are the best I've ever sort of done, and it feels like each one I do is like the best one I've done. I'm not even joking there. Like, it just feels like each one is just better, gets better, and a little bit they just get better and better. They get cleaner, the finishes get better, slicker. And yeah, it's amazing to be part of it. And yeah, you know, like it's been a long, hard road, you know, like many freezing cold Melbourne mornings where you'd much rather be in your nice toasty bed, many hot afternoons where you're sweating your ass off. But when you're able to get end results like this, it does make it all worthwhile. But yeah, like, it's got to the point now where it's relatively easy. Why is that? Because I've made all the mistakes. You name it, I've just about done it. Daggy edges, paint runs, poor candy, orange peel, you name it, I've made the mistake. But the difference between me and somebody who gives up is I don't give up, I don't let it beat me. I think, okay, how can I fix that? How can I make that so that that doesn't happen next time? I'm one of those guys that I have to learn from my mistakes. Like, you can tell me 100 times how to not get a run, but it's not until I get a run that I'm going to A, learn how to fix it, and B, learn how to not get it next time, or at least reduce the risks of having it happen next time. Like, it's very rare that I will ever get a run on these candies. I never get it in the candy. I never get any sort of window framing, which is like that heavy build-up of candy on the edges. And hey, these things is something that could happen in the past, and that could ruin a job, like a big job. And then you've got the other thing to think of is that you haven't got much margin for error on these, because we've also got paint thicknesses to think about. We've got to keep the paint under 300 microns. If it starts popping over 300 microns, they want all the paint taken off. Like, I have seen some of these painted by the PPG reps from up there in Canberra. They sent one down to us to fix, and it was atrocious. It had orange peel all through it, and it was really, like, really nasty edges, and it was really not a good paint job. So yeah, like, trust me, these are one of the more difficult colors to spray. Yeah, I'm not quite sure exactly what it is with this candy. Like, it wants to get a bit peely on you. But look, it is what it is. If you follow my procedures, I can't guarantee you're going to get the same results, because there's so many. Like, it's one thing knowing how to do something, but the execution is another thing, and a lot of it is like muscle memory. So I'm sort of at the point where I'm just about, I call it like I'm on autopilot. Like, I don't even have to think about it, really. Like, I just do the doing. I've done the thinking at this point on these ones anyway. Same with the patrols. I don't have to do much thinking when I'm on those patrols. Like, hey, there was a point where I did. I'd have to sort of like, oh, exactly how am I going to tackle this? And then it would be a case of a bit of trial and error. But now on these Sol Red Crystal Resprays, it's just doing. it's kind of cool because I get to go to work, pump out good quality work without even thinking about it. So yeah, it's kind of cool. But either way, yeah, the spray gun that I'm using is the A&I Tronic, and I'm pretty sure I've got the clear air cap on it, but either way, it's definitely the 1.3. I tried doing one of the resprays with the 1.2. It was a little bit too slow, and surprisingly, it actually introduced more orange peel. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it was more, again, like the execution more so than the tool. But look, after that, I'm like, no, I'm going to go back to the 1.3. So I went back to 1.3, and yeah, I was pretty happy with the results. But the clear coat that I'm using is the PPG LVC 131. Again, I like to get it up to between 30 and 35 degrees. But with the candy, it's pretty much bang on 30, just so that I get that consistency. But I don't mind going a little bit hotter with the final clear coat stage. Another thing worth making a quick mention about is wearing the appropriate PPE. So as you notice, I'm obviously wearing my gloves, I'm wearing my full air-fed respirator and a hood, especially for the clear coat stage. So yeah, the 2-pack clear coats are very nasty chemicals inside them with the isocyanates. I hear some people can get some sort of a isocyanate poisoning. It's nothing that I've ever had. I'm obviously concerned about it, so especially on these resprays, like if I'm doing a smaller job, I may not always wear that hood, but by the time you get around a full respray, this booth does start to get somewhat of a big cloud building up in there. But yeah, having your spray booth maintained properly is also key. But with these booths here, like, you will know when the filters need changing when you've no longer got any adjustment on the fan. So we've got an adjustable fan in these low bake spray booths. When the door starts popping open, I'll know that I need to adjust the fan, and when there's no longer any adjustment left on the fan, you just change your filters out. So yeah, spray booth maintenance is obviously important, PPE is important, but have a look at that nice sort of factory orange peel in it. Nice, obviously flowing edge all the way through the door jamb. Nobody can pick anything in that. The boys will, so Irfan, which is my detailer, he'll even denib the door jambs. Like, he will. That's the level that we go to. We don't leave any stone unturned or any stone chip unturned. But yeah, if any of you guys have a respray or some paintwork that you want done, be sure to hit us up, thegunmanraw@gmail.com. I'm in Melbourne, we're in Dandenong South, so yeah, you're welcome to contact us, shoot us an email, and this is the kind of work that we do. But yeah, we've got a good system in place. So this will then go, it'll get a bake, it'll then get left overnight. I only give them like 20-minute bakes. I don't like to hit them too early either, so I'll give it like a 20-minute bake. After 10 minutes, I'll then let it gas out overnight. I tell the guys, I'm like, man, don't touch my paintwork the same day. It just needs to be left overnight. We're not in a hurry. You can't rush perfection, and it's a full respray. Like, just chill on it for a day. Don't go and start opening it up, because what I've found is, like, if you start polishing your paint too early, that's when you'll get that shrink back, because you'll make it look good that day. Give it a week, those cutback marks, or what people like to call holograms, they'll sort of come back. So I've found you just, like, the longer the better really, but we still do have to get the work done. So yeah, just leaving it overnight seems to be totally fine. So let's have a quick look at this car when it's in the polishing and detailing bay, and then when it's put back together, and we'll just about call that a vid. But I'd like to make a quick mention that we've got loads more Gunman spray suits in stock, so be sure to go over and check them out. I need to get some more in stock myself in this shop. You may have noticed that I was wearing the PPG spray suit in this video, but in future I'll be wearing a beautiful Gunman Colad spray suit. And amazing news, guys, we've got a Gunman Edition DV1 coming very soon. Depending on when this video releases, it may already be out, so be sure to keep an eye on spraygunsdirect.co.uk, link in the description, and keep an eye out for a Gunman Edition DV1 spray gun. But there's the guy, but just have a look at that detailing bay. We've got all the lights, we've got a car jack stand there, you can jack it up so you can get all the way down the sides properly. But one thing that we do is we actually like to polish the panels before they go back onto the car. That's good for a few reasons. If we find something, so it gets like a good check over, obviously, all the imperfections, because when you're in the booth, it can be quite, you're thinking bigger picture, you're thinking painting a whole panel, you're not zooming in on every tiny little sort of inch of the panel, you're thinking, yeah, paint the panel, but then once it gets polished, you know, he is sort of getting his eye in over the finer details, so he can pick things up, and sometimes he'll just pick it up and he'll be like, oh, what do you reckon about this one, Gunny? I'm like, no, let's shoot it back through the booth quickly while it's off the car, and it's easier rather than sending it out the front and having the inspection people check over it and then find it, and then you got to bring the car back in, pull the parts off, and turns into a major deal. It's just I've got a bit of a rule of thumb when it comes to work these days. If you have to ask, you know the answer. So if I see something that I'm 50-50 on and I'm like, oh, I really should ask them, I'm like, you know what, I know the answer, I'll just do it, right? So it's kind of cool to, again, like I say, I've got a procedure in place for most things that go wrong, and even, yeah, an imperfection in and of itself, just, yeah, shoot it back through the booth. It's not a big deal. But there you go, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy watching this video series, the 3-part series. I've been meaning to do one of these for ages, but the one that I did last time, it was more sort of shooting the breeze as I go, talking to the camera. I've been reinvigorated. I've sort of carved out a little bit of time during every week, and I'm sort of disciplining myself to get behind the computer and do more of these style edited videos. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the increase in production quality at Gunman Industries. If you have, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new around here. Go and check out that link that I was mentioning before, spraygunsdirect.co.uk. Grab yourself a Gunman spray suit and maybe even a Gunman Edition DV1. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.